What's up everybody, I'm Nikith Nath and welcome back to my channel. So a couple of days back I was doing a test shoot at my home studio and I brought in my granite color background, I pulled in some of my indoor plants, created a set, I went behind the camera to set my exposure and I looked at the set and I'm like, this is like the perfect setup to call someone onto my show, to invite someone and to have a chit chat so that you guys would not just be seeing me yapping away to glory. So, psyched to see the setup? I'm psyched to show you. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. Hey guys, so this is ELLAINE Fatima. She's a very good friend of mine and we've known each other for about 4 to 5 years now.
Yeah, roughly about 2016?
Yes, yes. And we even started freelancing together almost about the same time. And now she's one of Nikon Z creators, and which comes with a lot of perks. One of them being she happened to be one of the first in the Gulf to be using the Nikon Z5, the very brand new Nikon Z5, to be honest.
So Nikith over here was also the first to use the Nikon Z5.
One of the first. I mean, but I was behind the scenes, so my name did not come there.
And he helped me. Well, he helped me shoot the launch of the Nikon Z5 for my video.
So if you guys know me personally, you know that I'm a die-hard Canon user.
And I'm a die-hard Nikon fan.
Yeah. So my very first camera was a Canon. I am using a Canon 5D Mark IV, which I'm shooting with right now. And also I would love to stay a Canon guy forever. And as ELLAINE...
I'm a Nikon die-hard fan.
Yeah.
So I've started off with the 7 series and this little baby here kind of broke the series as well. Oh, well, I take that back because I am also a full frame DSLR user for a D850 Nikon, so that actually broke the 7th streak.
Cool. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna be sharing our experiences of using the new Nikon Z5. Me being a Canon user, I'll tell you about what I felt using it in terms of its usability, in terms of shooting shooting this video for her at the location, etc.
And as a Nikon user, I'll be telling you all about this little baby's usability and how it would be such a good addition to my full frame gear.
Awesome. So we shot the video for you probably like 3 weeks back?
Yes. 3 weeks back. We had 2 of these new Nikon Z5s. Nikith had one for shooting behind the scenes, and I had the other one to shoot a lot of the portraits that were featured on the video for the launch. And these babies are actually the first entry-level mirrorless cameras. Full frame, by the way, full frame. So how was your experience basically using these babies?
To be honest, what I loved about the Z5 is it was like something of an entry-level full frame mirrorless camera.
Yes.
For those switching from those who have done their best with their crop frame cameras and want to shift into to a full frame DSLR.
So those hobbyists and those photo enthusiasts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The hobbyists or maybe even intermediates who've really used the entire gear of.
They've maximized
exactly
using their
crop frame camera and want to shift into this. It could be a good start for the entire full frame world, you know.
You're absolutely right. Hobbyists and photo enthusiasts would love the opportunity to bag at having a full frame mirrorless camera, and this is the best option right now in the market.
And I guess even in the price range, this is way affordable than
at a very competitive price rate. There you go.
That's a pun intended for me. So she's poking into the Canon world with the finger, you know.
Very affordable, competitive price range. By the way, entry level. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like that part. It's a mirrorless. It's a full frame, and it's very affordable. That is one of the pros that I would really check for the Nikon Z5. So ELLAINE, what is your take on those who are already in the full frame regime and already using a full frame camera like yourself?
Like me. Okay, yeah, like me, yeah.
Like the D850 or the 810, etc. So how how good would the Z5 be to them?
So I have a full frame D850 currently, and well, if I'm looking into another full frame and I don't want to invest a lot of money, I believe that this would actually be a bang on the buck. It would be such a good addition to my current gear at the moment.
So you mean to say like a secondary cam or like a
Definitely a second camera.
okay.
Ultimate, yeah.
Why would you say it could be a secondary cam and not something that you could?
Because I would say there is nothing that can still beat the mighty old DSLR at the moment, okay?
Exactly.
And because the fact that it is mirrorless, I would consider this for like group shots. I would say a lot of travel photography and a lot of self-portraits, anything that you could carry this handy dandy little camera around with you. But for the DSLRs, I would probably focus it a little bit more on product photography, a lot of bridal photography as well. So I would still say that this is a very good second camera addition to
also good for videos probably, because being a
Perfect.
DSLR, you can keep it on a gimbal. It's really handy,
Yes.
light in weight, and you can use it as a secondary video camera probably.
Correct. So if there was anything moving forward and I wanted to test out this camera, would actually be using it for video, because I would love to see how this baby would take a lot of documentary kind of style videography, a very cinematic kind of approach to the videography as well, and as opposed to the vlogging kind of photography. Video.
It even shoots 4K. That's the best part. 4K at 60 frames or 30 frames?
4K at 30 frames per second. The 4K has a crop factor.
Yes.
About
1.7?
Correct. A 1.7 magnification, and the 1080 it shoots up to 60 frames per second.
Which is good for slow-mo and
Correct.
stuff.
Put them side by side, the difference is very minuscule, so you couldn't really tell that much. And it's pretty good actually. Really good. Really good as a handy camera.
Z creator, that's why.
Of course.
One of the best part of shooting the video for her was I was shooting it entirely handheld. One of the reasons as to why we shot it was because the gimbal malfunctioned, so we had to completely go handheld.
Yes.
And when I went handheld is when I got to know that this I wouldn't call it a baby yet, because I'm still,
I call it a baby.
That's why we have this border here, you know, Canon and Nikon. So
and he puts up a border here.
yeah, exactly. So so when I tested out the Nikon Z5, it's the in-camera stabilization was really good. I think it's a 5-axis stabilization.
Yes, a 5-axis stabilization with a current Z-mounted lens. But if you mount an F-mount lens using the FTZ adapter, it would be a 3-axis stabilization. Yeah.
So when you put on a Z lens, it becomes a 5-axis.
Yes.
Otherwise, a normal Nikon lens, it would be a 3-axis.
Yeah.
So even on post, when ELLAINE had edited, she had specifically told me that she had added little to no warp stabilization on any of the footage. Maybe one or two here and there.
Just one or two, but
yeah.
It was fabulous when you had handheld it. If you'd look at the launch video in the description below, yeah, you would actually see that there wasn't a difference at all.
Even the pan shots that we did was
Brilliant.
It was just like as if we shot out of a gimbal.
Correct. And it was all handheld, by the way, by the maestro here.
And handheld, I have to give a big shout out to Daniel Schiffer. He is like my idol for handheld shots. Daniel Schiffer, I know you're not hearing this right now, but if you do, thank you so much for inspiring me to do more handheld shots. Yeah, coming back to our topic. So what else do you what else do you think are really good pros about the entire experience of shooting with the Z5?
Well, this Nikon Z5 actually has a dual SD card slot. So in any case, if you ran out of memory storage or capacity, you could just run to your nearest bakala and get, I'm just joking, it's not your bakala, you'll run to the nearest supermarket or hypermarket to get another SD card, as opposed to most cameras, most DSLRs that have an XQD and then a supporting SD card slot with it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one. And the second really good factor about this is the fact that it has a new battery that doesn't really drain out entirely. So we shot it for about like what, 4 hours, 6
Kind
hours?
of, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
full on video, and it still didn't drain out. And the fact that you could actually charge it with a USB-C type cable and using your
I
power
didn't know
bank.
about that.
Yeah, so we couldn't have tested it out because we were still shooting it at full capacity and full battery till about for 6 hours
Yes.
in that day. So yeah.
We started about 12 or 1ish, and we ended it
Around,
sundown.
Yeah, around 6:37. Yeah.
Yes. One other thing that I really felt good about this camera is its grip. One reason why I do not like, I'm a die-hard full body DSLR user, and
You like the heavy bodies, don't you?
I like the heavy bodies. Yes.
You want to make sure that you know you're holding something, right?
Exactly.
Right? Okay.
So one reason why I don't like mirrorless is because most of the mirrorless cameras that comes out have clumsy grip, you know. Coming from a full body and using this, I love the grip. So that is one of the things that I really liked about it.
Okay.
Now we come to the part of me being a complete die-hard Canon user, and I'm gonna tell about the parts that I did not like about this camera. So yeah, so while we kind of unboxed both the camera bodies together at the location that day when we were shooting, and she had one, like like we explained before, she had one body for she had one camera body.
I do have one body.
She had one camera body to shoot her models, while I was using the other to shoot the behind the scenes, right? And when we took it right out of the box, obviously all the settings would be the factory default settings. So the ISO was on auto by default, and me coming from a super easy user interface of Canon, when I tried to change the settings, I had to, number one, Google. After pressing the menu button, I had to go through several tabs to switch off the ISO auto sensitivity, and then go back to the normal ISO setting to set it to whichever number that I wanted.
Okay.
So this is something that I actually found tedious and cumbersome. If I was to shoot on location and then I had to switch it, I wouldn't have time to actually go through so many menu and then come back to the other and then set it manually, you know. So what would you tell about that?
Well, as a Nikon user, and that's the thing about the Nikon user interface, is that it gives the Nikon user itself, it gives the camera user the flexibility to manually adjust all your settings. So as someone who loves to shoot in manual settings, I wouldn't want my ISO actually in auto mode, right? Yeah. So for some people, they actually love to shoot on auto mode and auto ISO. Well, I like to manually change each and every setting, be it my white balance, be it my ISO.
To have more control over all our parameters, so we have the shot that we desire, rather than giving the camera the full control and then shooting.
Correct. So that is how the Nikon interface made it to be very detail oriented. So it kind of may have seemed like rocket science to you, right? For you to actually have your first experience with the Nikon.
Yes, yes.
Was this your actual first experience with the Nikon?
No, I have used a friend's camera way long. When I was starting off photography, like when I had my entry-level 1100D.
Did it have the same kind of interface where you also was trying to understand where
and
the settings were?
To be honest, that's one point that I actually thought that I wouldn't go with a Nikon.
Oh, okay.
Because when I think it was the shopkeeper who first showed me the Canon interface, and then I was like, okay, everything is one screen. Then I went to my friend who was using a Nikon, and then he was going through so many menus, and I was like, okay, I'd rather stick on to Canon. And then ever since that, I've loved so many things about the Canon camera itself. Like there are many things that there would be a lot more to say in another video about what I love about the Canon. So that's the reason why I stuck onto it.
All right.
And one thing that I really, really, really love more than any other pros of a Canon camera is the interface. So that's the reason why I found this to be rocket science, like you said.
But to be honest, everything is on the LCD. The actual interface is on the LCD. It's just that we you know that saying where you don't know where it is until you find it or where you look at it? It's always been there.
Okay.
You know, it's just that we never decide to look at the LCD where all the settings have been there on the LCD itself. We would try to go like, oh, manually, let's do this. Yeah, that's how we do it, you know?
Maybe it's just
we
me
love the
coming from
complicated crap.
maybe it's just me coming from a easy interface to or maybe a Canon interface to another company's interface. Maybe it's just the
that shift of mentality of
probably,
trying to take.
probably.
Okay.
Or maybe it must be the ego of a Canon user.
She's gonna put a lot of tisk everywhere. Yeah.
That's one of the major things that I actually thought which would not make me use this.
Because you haven't used it long enough to know.
Kinda, I just used it for the 6 hours that we were shooting.
Yeah.
And apart from that, the price, the affordability of the camera for an intermediate or a enthusiast or a hobbyist to make the shift from a crop frame sensor to a full frame at an affordable rate. The second point, having the grip of a full body DSLR and having that sense of safety that your camera is safe in your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually listing out all the pros, you know?
Exactly.
But I'm not
sorry,
gonna
where was the con in to begin with? Where?
That one user interface, but then probably, like I said, it might be the ego of a Canon user to not accept.
And that was probably your first impression. So again, if you use it a little bit
Probably,
longer,
but I'm not
then you would
shifting.
understand.
I'm not shifting, thank you.
Well, so given the opportunity, would you want to try the camera again?
I mean, I would love to use. I'm a die-hard Canon user, but at the same time, I'm open to all the new techs that comes out. So I don't mind using it, but I don't think I would shift, you know?
Well, there's that. I actually made him use it, so that's a pro right there.
So that's it for today, guys, and thank you so much, Elaine, for joining us.
Thank you.
It was the first of the chit-chat chit-chat series, and we began with Elaine and the Nikon Z5. Many more to come, and I'll be putting our Instagram handles right here. Hers would be there.
Yeah.
And her YouTube channel link would be in the description below. So thank you, Elaine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you guys. See you next week.
Bye.
So what we're gonna do today is me being a
I can't believe this